Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the American Business Podcast. I'm Kevin Deveji, your host. Today we have Michael Tadisco with us from Apprenticeship Connections. Michael, welcome to our podcast.
Hello, Kevin. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for joining us in your busy schedule. We have a lot to cover today, a lot of educational information, and I'm very excited. Let's start with introductions, if that's okay. Would you please introduce yourself to our audience and our followers, yourself and your company, please?
Sure. My name is Michael Tedisco. I'm CEO of Apprenticeship Connections. Apprenticeship Connections is a consulting firm, an apprenticeship intermediary firm. Like lawyers, accountants, financial advisors, we are an expert in our area, and our area happens to be workforce development, specifically geared towards Department of Labor registered apprenticeship programs. I know we're going to go into more detail what that means, but we handle all the heavy lifting. We streamline the entire process. We like to make it as stress-free as possible and to ensure long-term success.
Absolutely, that's very exciting. And we had a previous guest. We talked about manufacturing, American manufacturing in general, and how important it is for U.S. economy. So I'm glad that we are covering today apprenticeship programs, and very helpful for manufacturing industry.
Could not agree more with you. And I love talking about apprenticeship programs, so I'm very excited. Thank
Absolutely,
you.
absolutely. You have a ton of knowledge. So I'm very excited for this podcast. Well, also for our audience, would you please um, tell us how did you choose your career?
Sure. Not to spend too much time onto it, but listen, born and raised on Long Island, Generation Xer, right? So as we know, back in the 90s, to be successful, you had to go to college, right? So I went to college.
Mhm.
First in my family to get a degree in marketing. And I'm not going to tell you my whole life story, but I use this as a way to motivate myself and use it when speaking to young individuals because it is very relatable. So you graduate college, you get a job in the city, you get a marketing degree, and you find out that you don't like what you do, and it's much harder when you graduate college to find a career. And you take a bunch of aptitude tests, and you're like, well, the only thing I'm good at is sales. So I get involved in a lot of different sales opportunities, mortgages, financial services, chasing the rainbow to the pot of gold that never existed. I'm sure many people can relate to that. And again, this is organic, right? Because at 18, you think you know what you want to be for the rest of your life. And we have this question that we ask young individuals: what do you want to be when you're 18 or 19 or 20? Just follow a roadmap. And some roadmaps will hit some dead ends, some bumps along the way, and organically, you will get put into a situation like mine in my late 30s when I was working for an organization that advocated for non-union construction companies, which I didn't even know existed. And it wasn't until my 30s that I got even introduced to the world of apprenticeship programs, right? Because I don't think, and we still don't do it currently now. In high school, apprenticeship programs aren't really discussed to the magnitude that they need to, unlike other countries around the world where it is very common and more likely the norm. Um, but from 2013 to 2018, I worked for this organization firsthand, seeing how successful young individuals on Long Island, high school dropouts who are going through construction-related apprenticeship programs, and I really felt like there was a need here. And after those 5 years ended, and I was like, listen, this is something that definitely more people need to know about, and no one is discussing. So I took it upon myself in 2019 to start this consulting company to do just that, to get out there, spread the word, spread the message to all industries that are really looking to understand that there is an alternative way to grow your workforce, both from the employer's perspective as well as to the young individual. Because young individuals now coming to the workforce need to know that the college route, which is still acceptable, is not the only route, so to speak.
Absolutely. Actually, you work with manufacturers a lot and other businesses, as well as I know that you have a lot of interaction with the next generation, and you do a lot of you deliver a lot of mentorship in that sense. When we look at it from this point of view, what are the most exciting and challenging part of your job?
Oh man, I think the most exciting part is truly um, getting the actual chance to educate businesses and showing them that how apprenticeship programs are a successful tool in growing their workforce. As we all know, after COVID, a lot of industries, not just the manufacturing industry, a lot of industries got hit where they were unable to find experienced workforce. That used to be this very simple case pre-COVID. If you have experience, you bring them in, you interview them, they always have an understanding. But when they did not have that option anymore after COVID, a lot of young individuals either weren't in the industry, those that were experienced either left or were taken from other companies.
Yes.
Now we have the chance to really change the landscape. And that's the exciting part, is I get to make a difference in people's lives, both on the employer side and the individual side. And taking in a young individual straight out of high school that couldn't afford college, didn't want to go to college, putting them to a actual career-based model where they're going to learn a career and a skill, and giving that opportunity to be put into a program that not just a couple months like an internship, but an actual apprenticeship program that's years long with a guaranteed wage increase. That's exciting. A 42-year-old woman who was a stay-at-home mom who wanted to get back into the workforce, getting her connected with a company to do a junior accountant apprenticeship program. And now she gets to learn a new skill later on in her life. That's exciting. Like, it's making a difference. Creating new career paths. I mean, my job is just so exciting because every single day is something new. I mean, as many entrepreneurs know, but that's such a early onset of the industry. I'm making changes on all different aspects and all different levels. On the flip side of that, when you say challenges, it is slightly difficult to get in front of businesses and truly change their misconceptions of what they think they know. And obviously, since it is related to a government program or government agency, there's always like, well, it's the Department of Labor. Well, it's my job to give them peace of mind and knowing that, listen, this is why I'm here. I'm here to advocate on your behalf. Nothing is going to be done, no issues, no problems. There is red tape. I mean, it's a government program, so there is some hoops that you have to jump through. But that is my goal, is to give them that peace of mind and knowing that this is what me and my team do, and to facilitate an easy process. But besides for that, I mean, it's a stigma. Also, the other thing, obviously, college, apprenticeship, yes, college is available for many individuals in the United States, and it should be. But as we both know, college costs have extremely increased since the late 90s, right? I think when I went to college compared to now, I think it's almost like tripled the fee per year. And it's making it harder and harder for young individuals to even go to college. So, they also, on an individual level, going to high schools and letting them know, hey, there's an alternative. I'm not saying I don't want you to go to college. I'm just saying, listen, there's an alternative available to you where you could actually pursue a career path early on, figure out what you want to do. Hey, this is something I'm interested in. Get hired by an employer, get paid to work, and have the employer pay for your education. So it's really a win-win. But like I said, when I talk to you about it, it's common sense, but it's getting the opportunity to actually sit down and having people open-minded to the conversation is definitely a challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's dive deeper in this, if that's okay. So how companies and individuals can get in touch with you? How can they benefit from the apprenticeship programs to get it started?
Right. So, I think, like I said, I know we have limited time, but I won't go too much into it. I think, like I said right off the bat, the misconception, everyone's heard of an internship, and internships are great. I don't want people not to sit here and say, oh, he's anti-internship. I'm not anti-internship. Just that if you asked 10 or 11 different people what an internship is, you get a lot of different answers. It's paid, it's not paid, it's 3 weeks, it's 6 weeks, it's filing, data entry. It definitely does serve the purpose of taking an individual and exposing them to the work environment, which is crucial. Mm-hmm. Young individuals need to know what it means to work an 8-hour day, dress professional, act professional in that manner, so it still serves a purpose. An apprenticeship program. An apprenticeship program is a customized by the employer training program that encompasses both on-the-job training as well as classroom education. So they're a full-time employee, part-time student, taking classes either online, at a vocational school, and now, thanks to the New York State, you could have that apprentice go to community college, SUNY community colleges, and take certain courses and getting them credentials or certifications. You and I both know the work environment right now, it's not so much the degree, it's the certifications in that industry that are more important to the employer, right? As you know, I'm in IT, NetPlus, CompTIA, right? These are certifications that an employer is looking for, not which college you graduated from, but if you have those degrees, that is going to help that individual get into that position. So the apprenticeship program model takes an individual and says, okay, every day you come in, I'm going to expose you to different tests, different responsibilities into that career path. Like I said before, there's I said before with your junior accountant, manufacturing, as we all know, construction is, still the thought of apprenticeship program model, electrician, plumber, carpenter. There's 60 different apprenticeship programs in that. But nursing, teacher assistant, fitness instructor, and these are programs that I'm currently doing on Long Island. So it isn't just like, oh, this isn't for me. Every single employer that's listening to this podcast has a career within their business model that they want to be able to teach someone. And now there's a structured way of doing so by following this roadmap or model of training. It's a training program. And you get to choose which classes they are taking at the SUNY school institution because, you want to take blueprint reading, welding, first aid CPR, finances, whatever the case may be. It's stuff that they're going to come back and use on the job, making it relatable. And it's definitely much easier task. Let's use that junior accountant program. Kevin, I can't believe I'm saying this. Back in my day, right?
Yes.
Be an accountant, you had to go for 4 years of schooling, then get your master's, and then get a job. So that's like 8 years and who knows how much money in education to find out what happens if you find out you don't like being an accountant. You're kind of stuck after spending 8 years of education, all that money, like you can't really feel like you make a change. Now, in this apprenticeship model, you're exposing someone early on, you're providing them a way of making some money, sending them to school, and it's a 2-year program. So in those 2 years, what happens at the end of those 2 years? Hey, this is something I want to pursue. Let me go get my bachelor's degree or master's in accounting. Or thank you for this opportunity. I realized much earlier on in the process that accounting isn't for me. I'm going to go pursue another opportunity or another career. So it does help both the employer and employee with that kind of situation. And I'm sorry for going off the tangent, but I know, listen, it's one of the opportunities to go into more detail about apprenticeship programs. But you find my information to, my website is, the name of the company is Apprenticeship Connections. You can Google that. There isn't any other companies like mine. The website is acccnys.org. That's 3 C's. On our website, there's a list of over 175 different training programs in all different industries: automotive, IT, health and human services, hospitality, manufacturing, maintenance. Again, because these are all industries that have career paths available to them, as well as a contact us page where you can send us a message and someone from our team can get back to you and set up a meeting to go into more detail.
Yes, absolutely. This is really educational. Also, would you like to share information about the grant that you got recently with our audience?
Thank you very much for that opportunity. Yes. So for anyone watching or listening to this podcast, there are many different opportunities when it comes to workforce that, from the federal level, there are grants and programs available to you. There are state agencies, programs that provide tax credits and funding opportunities. I mentioned to you before a SUNY grant that could take young individuals and send them to SUNY universities for the related instruction. And last but not least, there are local agencies we call workforce development boards all across the country. There are actually 26 workforce development boards in the state of New York alone. Long Island has 3, town of Hempstead and all the surrounding towns, town of Oyster Bay, which basically covers North Shore of Nassau County, and Suffolk County has its own workforce development board. The town of Hempstead, which we call basically the Hempstead Department of Occupational Resources, or DOOR/Hempstead Works, many people might be familiar. They're basically the overview of how to basically implement official workforce development systems and programs. And they had a grant, a federally funded grant, to focus on workforce development. And they awarded my company, or our company, Apprenticeship Connections, with the opportunity to basically support and dedicate and help 10 Long Island-based manufacturing companies start their own apprenticeship program. So this is giving them a huge opportunity. And as we know, and if anyone else from the manufacturing company has been on this podcast with you, Long Island manufacturing is taking a big hit currently right now. And I know it's something we're going to go into more detail later, but the average age of a manufacturing employee is in its 50s, right? And the number of people retiring per year, the number of opportunities that are opening up is widening, right? Because there are more opportunities, and the young individuals are not. Again, in high schools, no one is talking about apprenticeship programs. And since no one is talking about it, these young individuals graduating high school don't even know they exist. And there are so many job opportunities and so much needs so these apprenticeship programs are connecting that link, right? Taking young individuals out of high school or even possibly out of college, getting them hired by a business, training them a skill, and hopefully will grow work retention and allowing that roadmap or progression of career to show them that you could start at an entry-level position. After 3-4 years, you become a senior, and then you can either move on to management or so forth. But it's just providing that roadmap to all manufacturing companies. And as Apprenticeship Connections, again, being hired by the town of Hempstead, there are no fees, right? Everything is going to be covered through this grant. So a manufacturing company on Long Island that really wants to find a way to take young individuals and hire them and train them, there's no cost. The only cost to them would be the cost of the new salary. That's if they hired a new individual. What's great about apprenticeship programs also, and I'm sorry to go off on a little tangent here, is that you could also use incumbent workers. So if you have someone that's in the incumbent worker, maybe in your warehouse department or another department that has potential, and you want to approach that individual and say, would you be interested in becoming a CNC machinist or a technician, an engineer? This is an amazing opportunity. I can't see how an incumbent worker that already knows how good of a company you are, that already has bought into the company culture, would say no to this opportunity. Because you're going to show them that they're going to get credentials, get certifications from a local university, get a wage increase, progressive wage increase, which is mandated by the Department of Labor, and putting them on a much better transition or track to be more successful. So incumbent workers, new workers, I mean, it covers the gamut. And again, most importantly, helps manufacturing companies on Long Island grow because, I mean, there are over 3,000 manufacturing companies on just Long Island alone. I think they employ close to 80,000 jobs, and we want to keep people in Long Island, and we want to show them the opportunity to find a career. And it just checks off all the boxes.
Absolutely. That's a great opportunity for manufacturers to actually keep their employment pool active, and the next generation, the younger individuals, can join the manufacturing, learn and grow their own. Yeah, absolutely. That's very important. Yes. So, I'd like to also, get your insight about AI. So AI we are using nowadays in our jobs, in our businesses, in our lives in general. So what is your take, AI and the job market, maybe a little bit of manufacturing take? How do you see it?
Listen, AI is here to stay. And at first I was a little hesitant, but listen, AI from a business perspective, you have to find a way to incorporate it into your business, whether it be the marketing side, but for manufacturing, I'm sure there's more ways you could use it for on the production side. But it's going to be part of our future, obviously constantly evolving more and more. But what does that mean? So some jobs might be eliminated because of AI, but that also means more jobs or new jobs are going to be created, right? So there are apprenticeship programs right now for robotics, cybersecurity, technicians, right? This is all going to be directly related to AI and AI services. So it's not like, there's an automation program. There are endless opportunities that AI can still incorporate workforce development. And all the AI technologies are skill-based. So you can't just hire someone and go, okay, here you go figure out how to work with AI. It's a skill. You're still going to need to teach someone how the human component and AI are going to collaborate together. So in my personal opinion, AI is going to make more efficiencies, make more progressions for the industries and for society as a whole. But we should not be afraid of it, and understand that there are going to be new opportunities that apprenticeship program training models are going to be needed for, because the human connection is still going to be there. So in my personal opinion, again, it's only going to be more beneficial, especially for the manufacturing industry. Like I said, robotics, automation, cybersecurity, these are apprenticeship programs that are currently existing now, and I'm pretty confident in the near future there will be new programs created that could be both in manufacturing and AI spaces combined.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. That's a great insight. Thank you very much for that. And also, we always ask our guests about their predictions. So, in terms of the job market and also the economy moving forward for 2025 and further, what is your prediction? How it will be the job market, for example?
There is a lot of uncertainty, obviously, what's going on forward. But I think the only guarantee, so to speak, is the job market, right? There is going to be a need to grow the workforce in the United States as a whole, not just Long Island, not just New York, but whatever the future may hold. The baby boomers are retiring in all industries, right? And if more people are retiring, there are more needs and opportunities to grow your workforce. So regardless of what the current administration does, and again, especially when it comes to manufacturing, the average age of these employees are too high. You cannot sustain long-term success when your average age of your employees are in your 50s. It's not going to be possible. So there's going to be a need for workforce on that side. And then again, have no power. I wish I did, but colleges are going to continue increasing their fees and costs to attend their universities. And with that being the case, apprenticeship programs have to always be the alternative and say, listen, I can't afford college, but I still want to learn a career. So in my world of apprenticeship programs, whatever the future may hold, I'm confident in saying with a certainty that there is still going to always be a need to grow your workforce. There's going to be a need to have apprenticeship programs in all industries. Yes, in manufacturing specifically, but it's only going to strive and help the next generation enter the workforce, because the costs of being what they are. If we don't provide some kind of clear-cut goal that takes an individual and says, hey, follow this map or follow this plan, in 4 or 5 years from now, you'd be making close to $200,000. They want to see that, right? After we knock down their misconception that when they graduate college, they're going to make $100,000 a year, after we get that out of their head and say, you're not going to make $100,000 the first year out of college, but follow this map, follow this plan. Look at the long-term success. Don't quickly look at the short-term immediate gratification that you always strive for through technology and whatnot. But hey, if you do what's required from you, you come in every day, you work hard and do your on-the-job training, and you go to your classes and take this educational courses and come back and use what you used in class, you will be successful. So again, I don't know what the future is going to hold, but I know for workforce development, there's going to be a need, and it's only going to grow.
Mm-hmm. One question, that's kind of a bonus question. So let's think about a young individual who just graduated from college.
Right.
How can she benefit from apprenticeship program? What would you recommend in terms of a career path, for example?
This is always the most difficult question I have, right? Because I would love to tell people that, you'll see the list on my website of all the different programs. Yes, those are models that have already been approved, but we do not have enough businesses implementing apprenticeship programs. So, if I would love to be able to tell a young individual that wants to become an engineer, hey, here's a list of all places that have apprenticeship programs. A lot of them do not. But it's going the other way is when in an interview with a potential employer, asking them those questions like, what kind of training are you going to provide me? What kind of way are you going to help me grow within your company? Right? Because an apprenticeship program, and maybe even ask for the apprenticeship program, but is saying, what are you going to do to invest in my success with your company? From the perspective of the employee. And employers need to understand, like, this generation needs to know that there is some kind of investment on their part. Like, no one, I think, wants to leave a job every year and go someplace else. But if you know that you're truly investing in your workforce from a young individual's perspective and giving them that map to grow, they're going to stay. And I mean, it's all different types of industries. I think for young individuals, most importantly, know that, to answer your question back to what I should tell them is, okay, you're a college kid, you're 21 years old, Don't put so much pressure on yourself that you have to have this answer that you know what you want to be for the rest of your life at 21. But you should pursue a career that you have interest in, that you find passionate, and make sure that the employer has these steps in place for you to succeed. And those steps, in my mind, is an apprenticeship program or something related like an apprenticeship program. If it is an apprenticeship program, a training program, an internship that actually has skills that they're going to actually learn and walk away with. But if that individual finds something like that, getting certifications in the industry, finding out from the industry what is required, networking. Kevin, you and I go to a lot of networking events together. How many young individuals are there? I tell young individuals, come to this networking event with me. Talk to people. I think, and I don't know how you feel, but if I learned about networking in the earlier part of my life and to not have that fear of walking into a room and being afraid, if a young individual walked into a room and said, "Hi, my name is Steve. I'm interested in pursuing a career in AI related. What advice do you have for me?" You would give them advice. And you know what Steve should say right after that? Steve should say, "Thank you, Kevin, for your advice. Do you have a card? I'd love to keep in touch with you." If Steve would have done that 3 or 4 times in every single networking event that he goes to, what is he doing? He's building confidence. He's organically building a network. And it's stuff like that. If these college students were to just get out of their little shell earlier on in life, I think it would truly be a success in the long run.
Absolutely. Actually, yeah, that's actually the final take that I was going to ask you. What are your recommendations or suggestions for the next generation to prepare themselves?
Do both sides of the equation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
For the employer, like I said, is any employer listening to this podcast, if you are concerned or worried about your current workforce or future workforce, or do not have a training program in place. I mean, this DOL registered apprenticeship program is the most customized credentialed program there is. And by putting something like this in place to your company, regardless of what your industry is, reach out to me, ask me the question. Again, the website is accccnys.org. There's a list of all the different programs we currently have, or if nothing else, contact us, and we can have the conversation about what you're currently doing and find a fit or create a fit. For young individuals entering the workforce, or if you're just lost or confused, and like I said to you before, with me, graduate college, you think you want to be going to marketing, you realize you don't, and then you don't know you have any other options. And I pursued sales because I didn't know there was 174 other apprenticeship programs available to me. I just felt that, well, an aptitude test said I have to go into sales, and I went into sales. I don't want young individuals to feel that way. Like, I don't have any other choice. I'm going to have to do this because there's nothing else available for me. It's not the case. Find out what your interests are, take some chances. There's nothing wrong with making mistakes. But in an apprenticeship program model, it allows you to make some money, have the employer pay for some of your education. You don't like it, maybe this isn't for you, go pursue something else, and then come back if you have to. It's a roadmap. Everyone has a different roadmap. There are dead ends, there's bumps along the way. Just keep moving forward, and eventually, and hopefully, you'll find something that you're really passionate about, like I did, and I didn't find out about it until my 30s.
Yes, yeah, that's a great insight. Great insight, absolutely. Michael, it's hard to say. It's hard to believe. Actually, it's already it's been 30 minutes. So time
I
flies.
So much other stuff I wanted to talk about, but as you know, this is what happens.
We should do part 2. We should definitely do part 2. Yes, thank you so much for being with us in your busy schedule. I always appreciate your insights, your educational content that you share in any environment. Truly appreciate it. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure. We should definitely do part 2. Thank you. Thank you. And to our audience and our listeners, thank you very much for being with us. Every Friday afternoon is time for the American Business Podcast. So you can always join us afternoons on Fridays, and we have the chance to learn from experts. Today we learn from Michael Tadisco. Knowledge is power, and let's learn from experts. I'm looking forward to having you at our coming webinar sessions and podcasts. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.